Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching KTK Plus. I'm your host, Tristan Van Beem, and today I want to go over some holiday shopping tips and trends for you all. Around this time of the year, especially with Black Friday just around the corner, everyone is rushing to get those deals and grab the best gifts possible for their loved ones. Here with me today is UT Tyler Professor of Marketing, Dr. Carrie Camp, who is going to address your holiday shopping questions. Dr. Camp, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's lovely to have you on the show and give us some great expertise. And I just want to go ahead and start off by asking, what are some good tips that you have for shoppers on specifically Black Friday and Cyber Monday?
Well, the interesting thing about Black Friday is actually this year and even last year a little bit that it's been extended. You're already seeing those Black Friday sales, even though they don't officially start until the day after Thanksgiving. You've seen them already started. So retailers are trying to get consumers to spend early. So start looking for those deals. Don't wait until Black Friday, which is what I would say is start looking now for those special deals, whether you find those online or within the store. There's coupons. If you have apps with stores, that can be extremely helpful to have specials as well. And then one of the newest things we're finding that people are using this year is AI. They're using artificial intelligence to help them find the best deals on the products they're looking for, even just idea generation for AI. But if you're looking for deals on prices, AI is a good tool. You can use those free AI tools to help you look. But also, if you have any apps with those stores, they should also be pushing those deals to you.
Now, Doctor, now that we're on the topic of Black Friday, have you personally ever done any Black Friday shopping and been in those crazy crowds where people are just running each other over and trying to steal out of each other's carts and stuff like that? Have you experienced that?
I have,
Yeah.
especially in my younger days, I would do it a little bit more where you'd
Mm.
wait, you'd get up at 3 or 4 in the morning and it became a holiday tradition. It's still a tradition with many families where that is what they do the day after Thanksgiving. And so, yes, I have done that where you fight for certain things. Sometimes what you find is those deals, there's only limited number of
Mm.
those items, which is what causes the frenzy that you find on those Black Friday. So if you're going to do it, make sure you prioritize what items you want because you have to head straight for those items within those stores if you're going to be one of those folks who love the experience of Black Friday shopping early in the morning.
Do you have any advice for people who plan on going Black Friday shopping, especially with all the crazy videos we see of people just fighting everything? Do you have any advice that people could take to keep themselves from getting hurt during these kind of sales?
Well, the sales, it's fun to save money, but it's not worth risking your life for. And so I say, be careful. It's good to shop with others as well. Sometimes you can divide and conquer, where you can pick up if there's a limit of 2 items or 3 items. Someone in your group gets one item and someone else gets another, so you're not having to run through the stores because that's not a something that we want our consumers to be doing. So, prioritize what you really want. Realize that if there's a somebody's fighting or something, it's just not worth it. And so, it's remember what the holidays are about. It's about being with your family and getting gifts, but not necessarily having to have that anger that is sometimes associated with Black Friday. Again, we're seeing a little bit less of that now because they're spreading it out over a longer period of time with the
Mm.
deals. So fortunately, we haven't seen what we saw probably even about 5 or 10 years ago. It's a little bit more not as hostile of an environment on Black Friday.
Well, it's great to hear that it's actually going down because I just remember, being in high school or maybe middle school and just seeing those videos. And I don't know how people are doing this over an Xbox. Like, this is just insane that people are practically trying to kill each other over some Christmas gifts. And I would actually like to go over some Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. How can consumers know whether they're actually getting a good deal on a product?
Most of the retailers are going to they're going to do price comparisons. They're going to show you regular prices versus sale price.
Mhm.
So start looking now before, again, you may see some of those deals now. You can do previous, look at regular prices, look at other retail stores because different stores carry the same product. So do your comparison shopping. It's worth it to spend the planning when you're going to do Black Friday or specials for Christmas. Plan ahead, look and see what's out there, and then you can really determine pretty easily if it's a good deal.
All right, and since you are a professor of marketing, I figured I would just bring up some questions regarding the science behind why people buy certain things. So I just want to ask, why do people sometimes feel they should buy gifts just because they're on sale, even if their loved ones they're buying it for didn't really ask for that gift for the holidays? They just feel like they're saving money for buying that gift.
Well, there's something part of us with consumers when we look at consumer behavior. We as a society, especially in the United States, we like a deal. We like to know that we're saving money. And so when we see that, we think, well, maybe that wasn't on their list, but wow, it's such a good deal. So I think it's just part of who we are as human beings that we like to find those good deals. But we're seeing a shift again this year that it's less about the material things. It's more about coming up with those customized, personalized things. You're seeing everything from custom branded merchandise to gift boxes to a lot of experiences like classes and tickets and things. So people are looking a little differently at gifts this year, trying to come up with things that are a little bit more memorable, maybe related to the hobbies that they have, rather than it just being a low price on a particular. Typically, we see on Black Friday a lot of electronics. That's where you'll see your biggest deep discounts is a lot of the electronic products you'll see on Black Friday. But now we're finding that consumers are like, well, maybe that's not what my friends and family want. And instead, I'm going to look for something that will be more of an experience or something more memorable.
Well, honestly, that is pretty great and shocking to hear that people are, spending money and time on gifts that actually kind of cater towards the person instead of just being a hot, trendy item. And speaking of some hot ticket items going around this season, it seems like there's always at least one niche product around this time of year that everybody wants. Recently, it was maybe the Labubus or the Stanley Cups, those kind of products. So, what is the product to have this holiday season?
Well, the Labubu plush toys are still, and those charms are still popular this year. But the biggest one that I've seen is the Jurassic World Primal Hatch dinosaur, where
Mm.
it actually hatches from an egg, and then it reacts to the user's interaction. So that's really hot. There's a
Mm.
lot of products with Legos, really many products that are popular with their Hot Wheels. And then probably what's a little different this year is more emphasis on educational toys, those STEM products where they're building things
Okay.
for kids in particular. We're seeing a really big resurgence in those types of magnetic tiles and those types of products.
That's awesome. I mean, I totally understand the Jurassic World or Jurassic Park ones, whatever you want to call it, because I feel like they just keep making those movies. So of course you want the newest toys, but it's great to hear the kids are getting some, educational toys and stuff like that. I know I never wanted those as a kid. My mom always tried to get them for me, but I was not so big on getting the education and everything. And now that we know there are a lot of people who might have financial struggles this year, is everyone still spending the way they did in years past, or have we seen a dip in spending projections for 2025, considering that some people just aren't in great financial spots?
Well, you would think that because consumers are facing economic troubles, that you would see a decrease in spending this year, but we're actually finding the opposite is true. So, what that kind of tells us is that there's optimism, consumer optimism. They're going to spend a little bit more. The average consumer is supposed to spend about $890 on gifts this year, and that's up about $132 from last year. So, they're saying it's about 3 to 4% in particular that's up. It depends on which numbers you look at, but actually spending is up. Most people, they're saying, are going to either spend what they spent last year or spend more. And in particular, the younger generation, they're actually going to be spending a little bit more this year. There's only a small percentage of the market, about 18%, that say they're going to spend less than they did last year. So that's a pretty small percentage based on the struggles that we're seeing with people with rents and food and the other necessities that we have. I just think people are prioritizing this holiday and saying, okay, maybe I'll make sacrifices to make this a special Christmas for the family.
I know I just heard you say the younger generation, which kind of includes myself. I know I'm not spending $800 on gifts this year. I definitely cannot afford that. But while we're on the topic of money and spending, another topic I want to cover is inflation. This word has been used a lot in more recent years. I feel like I never really heard anyone talk about inflation until like 2023, 2024. So, how is inflation impacting the kinds of gifts that people can afford? As you mentioned, people are making less money, but they're still buying these expensive gifts. So, how is that impacting the market?
Well, that's one of the things, the reason why they're going to spend more this year. It's not that they're buying more gifts, it's that the cost of the gifts are a little bit higher. And so what we're finding people are reacting to that is some are going to be buying fewer gifts. So they're spending maybe the same amount they spent last year, but not buying as many gifts, or they're giving gifts to fewer people. But it depends on what you're buying. It depends on if the retailer stocked up before its tariffs went into play. Some retailers purchased ahead of time, so they weren't as impacted with those tariffs. The things that you'll probably see the biggest impact on this year are Christmas decorations and supplies, because most of those are made in China and the tariffs are still there. And that's so if you've been Christmas trying to buy Christmas decorations for your house, you might have said, whoa, those are a little bit more expensive this year. And we are seeing quite a bit of difference with those because of those tariffs and other types of issues. But to offset those, we're seeing a lot more people make homemade gifts. this year. Again, it goes back to that personalization, that customization, making it more memorable. We're seeing people make things from scratch, and either whether it's food items or craft items. So that is another way to be able to save a little bit of money if you're under that tight budget that you're most are facing these days.
Now, I like how you brought up tariffs because that is one recent thing that's been happening in our global economy. And you mentioned that tariffs have made some things more expensive, like Christmas lights. What are some other products that tariffs have had an effect on since they were put in place?
Many of the products, and then it's really complicated because all of the products that go into other products that are part of the building other products can go up. So those that we typically right now the steepest tariffs tend to be still any product that's made in China, which is a lot of the products that we purchase. So any of those you're going to see are a little bit higher. And so Christmas gifts, a lot of the toys can have tariffs built into those. Again, it depends if the retailers purchased them before the tariffs went into place. That would be quite a bit of early purchasing for retailers to purchase toys because the tariffs went into effect in the spring. So again, where most people, that's why they're going to be spending more this year is because they're going to see that almost everything they're looking at, unless it's made in the U.S. So there's the push to buy products that are made in the U.S. is that you're not going to see those tariffs be impacted by those.
True,
So
yeah.
that's look for products made in the U.S.
Yeah, I know that, Americans have usually always wanted to buy US products, but now I feel like more than ever, they kind of have to. And Doctor, I just want to ask, is there anything else that you would like to share with the viewers at home about holiday tips and trends that you would just like to leave them with?
Just make sure that you're looking at what's important. Again, they're consumers, about 61% of consumers are prioritizing what's most important to them, what's valuable. A lot of consumers are looking at those products that are more economically or eco-friendly, sustainable products. They care about the packaging of the products, where they produced in areas. So, maybe you spend a little more time with your list, making sure that you're within your budget. So set a budget for the holiday season is what I would recommend is probably most important. There's a big trend to buy now and pay later. Well, if you're putting those on a credit card, you're going to have interest. So the cost that you've saved maybe on Black Friday, if you can't pay it off until spring, that savings probably may not be worth it if you're having to pay that interest because interest on credit cards is extremely high. So be careful, set that budget, try to stay within the budget, and look for those deals. Look for those. Use AI if you can. Look on your apps. Look on coupons to find the best deals. And I think it'll be a good holiday season for everyone.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Camp, for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time and the wisdom that you brought us all today.
All right, happy to do so. Thank you for having me.